I'd like to welcome back to the stage Corey DeAngelis, parental rights activist and author of The Parent Revolution. Hey, Ryan, how are you? Great. Aaron Withe, he is the CEO of Freedom Foundation. I know. And Ryan Walters, former Oklahoma superintendent. Yes, indeed. And now he is the CEO of the newly launched Teacher Freedom Alliance that was just launched by Freedom Foundation. All right. So to kick this off, I think it's good for us to have a little reminder of just how bad the teachers' unions really are, because we also have to go back and persuade our neighbors who maybe have gone back to sleep or they don't really know at all. So let's start with Corey. Corey, you started by sharing up here about the most recent new business items of the NEA, which is one of the top teachers' unions in the country. You shared some of the shocking things. Can you share a few more that they passed? By the way, none of them had to do with improving academics. That should tell you something right there. So share a few more with us.
I will say these chairs are very comfortable, so great job, Monster Liberty. I was like almost like falling back into it. But yeah, I shared one earlier, but they passed a ton that I leaked onto X. I also shared their handbook, which was like 434 pages, and they scrubbed it from the internet. And then I was like, aha, I saved it to the Internet Archive. I gotcha. And then the Internet Archive actually removed it after that. I'm like, how much pull do they actually have? The Wayback Machine actually DM'd me on X and was like, no, this is a mistake. We'll put it back. We'll put it back. After they got called out, it went back on. But they were talking about white supremacy culture, whatever that is. They were crapping on homeschooling, saying that they weren't properly educating kids. I mean, don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. You have places like Chicago that have 55 public schools, 55 of them with not a single kid proficient in math. 0 kids proficient in math in 55 public schools in Chicago, and they spend $30,000 per student per year. But they also passed a resolution at their 2025 annual convention to get around the recent Supreme Court victory that Tina alluded to this morning, Mahmoud v. Taylor, that allows families to opt their children out of gender insanity that's happening in the classroom, allows them to pull their kids out.
Yeah.
So one last, in their infinite wisdom, they said, okay, well, we're gonna spend $200,000 to not listen to that democratic institution that we call the Supreme Court. We're gonna try to get around democracy. That sounds like a threat to democracy to me. It almost sounds like an insurrection. And instead of just listening to them, they said we're gonna train teachers to say, we're gonna continue to force our gender ideology into the classroom. Here's how you can get around the ruling. And they're not listening to parents. They're trying to wedge themselves between parents and their children. But thankfully, we have Monster Liberty to say, not today, Satan.
And I do think it's striking that there was nothing about academics in the NEA new business items when right now less than half of our students are proficient in math, less than 1/3 are proficient in reading. Time for them to reprioritize.
Well, Deborah, this year they didn't have anything to do with education, but in 2019 I released on X a separate one where they were gonna put up for a vote a resolution to realign the NEA's mission to being about education. Seems like they should pass such a resolution. It went down in flames.
Yeah.
So they're telling us their priorities, they're showing their true colors, and they elevated this year one person out of 3 million members as their teacher of the year from Pennsylvania. What did she say when she had a couple minutes on stage? She let the mask slip and she said that her job as a teacher of all things is deeply political and always has been. Yeah. If that's not free advertising for homeschooling, I don't know what is.
Absolutely, and I want to share also so the moms here can go out and be really prepared. The biggest myth is that the teachers' unions support the teachers, and everyone gets played upon about the pay for teachers being down. Despite the teachers' unions collecting nearly $380 million in dues this year, teachers' pay is stagnating. You shared this statistic in our documentary. Can you share where the money is actually going as far as the employees in the district?
It's not going towards the kids.
Yeah.
So we have data from 2000 till today. The number of students in the system has been basically flat. And that's mostly because the unions fought to close the schools, parents left, and about 1 million kids have left the government school system since 2019. Thank you, Randy. And thank you, Becky Pringle, as well. But while student enrollment has been flat, the teachers in the system have increased by about 10%, but the administrators in the system have increased by 95%. 95%. That's why I said earlier the government school system has become a jobs program for administrators, not an education initiative for kids. You have people like Randy making over $600,000 a year. Same thing with Becky Pringle, over $500,000, which, by the way, her union, the NEA, has a federal charter, has the backing of Congress, the only one in the country that has this special privilege. And lawmakers right now, based on feedback from Moms for Liberty and other advocates, have a bill in Congress to yank their federal charter once and for all.
Well, great. One more question before I want to continue this as far as the problems with unions with Aaron and Ryan here.
Yeah, I don't want to take up all the time.
We could have each one of these gentlemen for
an
entire hour, by the way.
We got a team.
I want to bring up Randy Weingarten's new book, who, by the way, criticizes Moms for Liberty as one of her #1 targets. My husband's an 82nd Airborne veteran. He always says, if you're not taking flak, you're not over the target. So we're all over the target right now. And she's trying to say now that the unions had nothing to do with the shutdown, and maybe she could have worked a little bit harder to prevent it.
Yeah.
What is the truth of what the teachers' unions did to cause the shutdown and extend it?
I'm calling BS. Everybody else in the room is calling BS right now as well. She went before Congress and tried to gaslight the American public and said, actually, we were fighting to reopen the schools. Well, if that's true, if you were trying so hard to do so, well, then why weren't they open? Why were the private schools open? Why were parents trying to figure things out with homeschooling and trying to pay out of pocket for the private schools in addition to the government school system that was closed? You had the Chicago Teachers Union, had a board member vacationing in Puerto Rico in person while saying it was too difficult and too unsafe to go back to work in person. You had them opening schools for daycare, but then closing schools for education. I mean, COVID must have been smart. It knows if you're learning something, it's going to activate, it's going to get you. It's because they use that as a political tool, as leverage at the bargaining table to hold children's education hostage, to secure $190 billion in ransom payments from taxpayers. Well, they won in the short run, but they're losing in the long run because of school choice victories, because of Moms for Liberty fighting back for their parental rights in education, and because of people like this getting teachers to say, no more, we're leaving the union, you don't represent us, and we have an alternative. So I want to turn it over to them as well.
Thank you, Corey. Appreciate that. So, Aaron, Freedom Foundation has been focused on helping government employees leave those unions, and part of that is teachers' unions, obviously. Can you talk about, first of all, what's the problem with government unions? It's different than private unions. Can you talk about what the issue is there?
Yeah, Corey talked about it specifically with the teachers' unions, but government unions generally, I mean, think about it like this. They never should have been created. You have a government union that takes money from public employees, funnels it into liberal politicians that go out and raise taxes on the private sector, on people like you, so they can hire more bureaucrats, take more union dues. Make no mistake, government unions are a business, and their business is growing money and growing power. They've been able to do that over the course of the last 70 years. So when we talk about freeing teachers, when we talk about unraveling the teachers' unions, this is a long game. This is a multi-billion-dollar monopoly that we're fighting in the teachers' unions today that has a total monopoly on our public education system today.
And when we talk about where the money goes, always that term, follow the money, can you share where teachers' union money goes politically?
Yeah, so let's use the NEA, for example. They rake about $350 million a year in union dues. Under 10% of their budget is spent on representational activities. That's money that's meant to be representing teachers. Most of it goes towards lobbying. It goes in political gifts. And guess where the political gifts go? It's not to my friend Ryan Walters when he was running for office. It's going to radical liberal Democrats that will go in and raise taxes like Brandon Johnson in Chicago. And then the rest of it's spent on lavish salaries and benefit packages for their internal staff. So when you talk about the agenda of the teachers' unions, Deborah referenced it, you've got to follow the money. And their money is far less significant in the representing teachers than it is in their political agenda.
Yeah, thank you for that. Well, Ryan, not only were you the superintendent in Oklahoma, but you were also a teacher. We're pro-teacher here, pro-parent, pro-student, the golden triangle of education. And I often look at good teachers, and we interviewed so many for our documentary, and it's almost like Stockholm Syndrome. I mean, they are terrorized within their own schools. Can you talk about some of those tactics that the teachers' unions do to intimidate good teachers?
No, that's right. You know, to be clear, there's no bigger enemy to parents, there's no better enemy to good teachers, and there's no bigger enemy to this country than the teachers' union. The teachers' union has weaponized its money and its power to try to turn our schools into Marxist indoctrination centers. And they're crystal clear about that. If you're a teacher, you leave the union, we're going to target you. If you're a parent, you show up at a school board meeting, we're going to target you. We will not allow our power structure to move, to change. It's why we created the Teacher Freedom Alliance, to say, teachers, we don't only want you to leave, we've got your back. Right. Go make our classrooms great again. Let's get back to education, not indoctrination. Let's put parents back in charge of their kids' education. You all know, any good teacher would tell you, we want the parents involved. We want the parents to play the most major role in their kids' lives as possible. We've got to get those teachers back in our schools. We've got to get them back controlling what's going on rather than the teachers union and saying, listen, we're here to bring the parents back in and to be clear about what the teachers unions do. You guys see the No Kings protests going on? Did you know that the NEA and AFT are funding those? Yeah. They are funding to fight President Trump. And again, I can't applaud President Trump more for abolishing the Department of Ed. That's great, isn't it? Isn't that awesome? But folks, I also bring you a warning. If you eliminate the Federal Department of Education and don't defeat the teachers' unions, they will step into that power vacuum. They will continue to control our schools. They will continue to attack you, the parents. They will continue to attack any teacher that actually has common sense and wants to just teach math and not DEI and 27 genders. So folks, we have to defeat the unions. Moms for Liberty, thank you for what you're doing for our kids. The fight is going strong, but we have got to continue to defeat these unions.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ryan. And a great point to share, and I shared this with a friend, kind of a friend, used to be a friend who's left of center, and they asked about the appearance, the Department of Education, and I said, you know, that was a backroom deal between Jimmy Carter and the teachers' unions in 1979. There was a purpose and a reason why they did it, so it's the first step in it is getting rid of the Department of Education, but there's work to do. Aaron, I want to talk now a little bit about solutions, because even though we're talking about this power and this behemoth, this is an exciting time and real change is happening, and we are the ones that are going to finish the job. So let's talk about some solutions. So defunding the teachers union is really about, Aaron, this question is for you, about empowering teachers to leave. Now, prior to forming Teachers Freedom Alliance, Freedom Foundation has been doing this. Talk a little bit about how you are getting people to leave these unions and what kind of success you've seen so far.
Yeah, the Freedom Foundation has now a four-pronged approach to defunding the teachers' unions and government unions generally. The way that you defund any business is by getting their revenue at the source. In this instance, the members. So we've weaponized a group of canvassers that go around the country. They visit people's homes. They visit people's offices if they're not teachers. They go around the country telling people to get out of the unions. We send them millions of mail pieces, digital marketing campaigns. I mean, you name it, to tell people to get out of the unions, we're doing it. Since 2020, since we've been operating that campaign nationally, we've seen the largest decline of union membership in US history. We've never seen rates like this before. It's going down year over year over year, including teachers in the NEA. The second thing that we do is we litigate. I've got 10 attorneys on staff. All they do is sue unions. That's their full-time job. Yeah. The third thing that we do is we help states pass legislation that target teachers' unions. Florida is probably the best example of this in recent years. They eliminated the government's ability to take union dues from teachers' paychecks. 20,000 teachers opted out of their union following that legislation. That's a big deal. Also, we made it so when union membership falls below 60% in a school district, it triggers a decertification vote in the district. And then the fourth thing that we did when we heard from teachers across the country, in Portland, Oregon, in Orlando, Florida, wherever they were, we're alone. I'm the only person that's left by union. There are no other resources that exist. That's when we created the Teacher Freedom Alliance, and that's when we hired Ryan Walters to go bring the heat.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Ryan, you shared a little bit about the Teachers Freedom Alliance. Can you talk a little bit more practically, because it offers so much for teachers, including replacing what they think they get from the union, but in a free way. Can you talk a little bit more about the mission and the actual steps?
So what we looked at is very similar to what you all have done with Moms for Liberty. You want to fight back. You want to get the schools back on track. If you're a teacher and you leave the union, I've heard so many stories around the room tonight, you have a good teacher that tells you, I don't want to teach this. I don't want to do this. But what happens if I don't? What happens if I leave the union? They're going to try to fire me. They're going to try to sue me. I won't be able to get a job somewhere else. So we don't only get teachers out of the union. We've got thousands of members across the country, and what we're saying is we're building a community of how to fight back. We'll give you all the trainings you need academically. You don't have to go begging the union to get your professional development hours and sit into a class where they're going to tell you to hate this country. No. We will help you with honing your craft. We will help you get all those professional development hours, and we're going to teach you how to fight back. We're going to teach you how to fight back against the union tactics. We're going to teach you how to partner with parents. We're going to find the ways to have this great partnership that we used to have in schools, one that valued the role of the parent, one that understood that the more the parents are involved, the better their kids' education will be. So we're creating a teacher army, folks, to go take the classroom back, to partner with parents, because it's very clear, this is a war for the future of our country. It's in the classrooms. The Marxists took the battlefront there. We've got to take them back. And we're working with teachers to say, listen, I want to get back to academics. That's what I want. How do I do that? Well, we're going to help them do that, and we want to partner with you to do that.
That's great. Thank you, Ryan. Before I get to the last statement by each one of you, Aaron, what can moms here and dads who are here do to help a teacher they know? Because really, we can be a conduit to someone who doesn't know there's an alternative.
Yeah, Ryan mentioned it. This isn't going to get solved at the federal level. You all know teachers. You have to help teachers across the country. The best messengers for this are other teachers and you guys, the parents. So you've got to tell teachers, you don't have to be forced to belong to a union. This union does not represent your values. It certainly doesn't represent my kids' values. You've got to tell them to leave, tell them to go to optouttoday.com, and then tell them to join the Teacher Freedom Alliance.
That's great. Well, let's go down the line. In the last few minutes we have here, I want each one of you to share something you would like to have as a charge or encourage the amazing moms that are here in this room.
Tell teachers to join the Teacher Freedom Alliance. I mean, look, school choice I've been fighting for a long time. That incentivizes the monopoly to do a better job. It incentivizes the district to do a better job. Teacher Freedom Alliance provides competition for the unions to get them to focus more on the members as opposed to being focused on a far-left radical agenda that they're trying to push down children's throats in the classroom. And so teachers, Moms for Liberty, maybe start pushing people and creating a Teachers for Liberty with the Teacher Freedom Alliance. I think that would be a fantastic idea. And you guys already have teachers as members as well. So this is a great alternative to the unions to get them to change. And I'll just tell a quick story. I was listening to a radio hit with Randi Weingarten promoting her book, by the way, which she copied my cover. She said on a podcast that she didn't copy it. She swears up and down. She didn't plagiarize it.
That's the only smart thing she's done, by the way.
You gotta, yeah, it's a great color scheme. I'll tell you that in the font. But she's basically calling conservatives fascist right now. At the title of her book, quadrupling down on this divisive rhetoric, trying to pull society apart. I thought the public school system was about creating a more cohesive society. She's doing the exact opposite, and she's putting targets on our backs as well. And so she told this radio caller that was a public school teacher in New York City that he was complaining about the Zohran Mamdani endorsement from the UFT, their affiliate in New York State. And Randi Weingarten said that the union can be as political as it wants to be. It's a union. It can give all of its money to the Democrats if it wants. But if you don't like it, well, then you can leave. You can stop funding them. Okay, well, let's take Randi Weingarten's advice for once. That is the first time that she actually said something smart. And so teachers, if you don't want to give your money to this one-sided political operation, this money laundering operation called the teachers union, for the Democrat Party. It's up to you to opt out, to fight them and bring the union to their knees once and for all, and get them to listen to parents and teachers as well, to make our country better, to make education great again.
Thank you. Aaron.
I could just say ditto, but I'm going to add something to this and give you guys some encouragement. We live in the greatest nation on the earth. I don't, you can tell from my accent, I don't come from here, and moving here, you guys don't realize if you were born here how lucky you guys are. So we have the radical left and the teachers union is trying to turn this place into a socialist country. England, by the way, where I moved from, is a socialist country today. What we have here is worth defending, and my belief every day when I get up and go to work is that if we cannot eliminate the influence and the power of the teachers unions, then we cannot keep this country on the right trajectory. So I'm encouraged by what we're doing here, but I'm also very encouraged by Moms for Liberty and everything that you guys are doing every single day. This is a great group, and you should be proud to be a part of it.
Thank you, Aaron.
I want to say, Moms for Liberty, you all do a tremendous job at this, but I want to say, do not let them gaslight you. Remember how they gaslit you on the pornography in the schools, right? It's not there. It's not happening. Then you find it and go, hold on, this is everywhere. And then what do they say? Well, it's not that bad. Then you say, well, why don't you show that on TV? I did this in Oklahoma. Why don't you just show these pictures, and we'll let the audience decide if that's pornography or not. And guess what they told me? We can't show that on TV. There was no way. There might be kids watching. I go, I found it in a school. That's the problem. The left-wing media and the teachers unions gaslit the public on that. We're not doing these things. Oh, we are, but it's not that bad. Oh, actually, we are, and we're going to keep doing it. They tell you unions are out for teachers. They're not. They are out to create leftist indoctrination mills of our schools. We have to fight back, and we have to win this war. And Moms for Liberty, you have taken this on, and again, I think it's a wonderful message, right? We want good teachers in the classroom, right? We want teachers that are passionate about math, history, and science. And folks, we're passionate about wanting people that love American history, that love America, that understand that one of the critical roles of our schools was, yes, get you good at academics, yes, make sure that you can get a job with your God-given talents, but also to create American citizens who will continue this great dream that is America. Benjamin Franklin said it's a republic if you can keep it.
Yes.
And folks, we have to fight to keep it. We have to continue to allow the next generation to know, as Aaron pointed out, the gift that you've been born into is a tremendous blessing from God. But this country will not continue to be that blessing if we let it fall from our grasp. So thank you for your work. Keep up the great work, Moms for Liberty.
Thank you.
That's it.
I want to just close with this thought. When you go back to your area, wherever you are, find a teacher and befriend them and help them. I think of the quote by Edmund Burke. We all know the beginning. Evil prevails when good men and women do nothing. But nobody knows the second part, which is this. When the evil congregate, the good must come together, lest we fall one by one in unpitied sacrifice and a contemptible struggle. There's a teacher struggling near you. Let them know they can get out and get back to just teaching children. Let's thank our panel again and thank each and every one of you. God bless you.
And now,